conducting an interview and we will be asking questions about COVID-19 vaccine. Hi Sakid.
Hi.
So thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. So first of all, we would like to know what your role is in the NHS.
Yeah, I'm Dr Priyadarshi. I'm a doctor in the NHS. I'm trained as a GP and I currently work in the community in Glasgow City Centre.
Thank you. And what are the key messages you would like to get across about the vaccine?
So it's very important that we have as many people as possible to take the coronavirus vaccine, primarily because it helps protect them. You know that all the evidence so far not only tells us that the virus is actually very dangerous, it causes a high level of health risks and harms, illness and deaths even, but actually those are felt often most in Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups. So it's particularly important for all groups, but particularly important for ethnic minority groups to be involved in the vaccination program and to have as high uptake of the vaccine as possible to protect them, to protect their wider families, to protect their community.
How effective is the vaccine and why should people get it if it doesn't have 100% success rate of protecting you from the virus?
Well, actually very few vaccines have 100% success, but actually these vaccines that have been produced against the coronavirus are very effective. They have a very high effective rate in terms of reducing severe illness and in terms of reducing deaths. And the evidence that is emerging all the time of actually its effectiveness from across the world. And actually some studies are even saying that it has 100% effectiveness in certain populations, in certain age groups, against getting severe illness and protection against death. Now you have to balance that with the very high risks that coronavirus itself brings in the unvaccinated, the non-vaccinated population. So certainly it's absolutely no-brainer for me that the risks of coronavirus itself are way outweighed by the benefits of the vaccine.
Thank you. And how safe is the vaccine?
Yeah, you have to understand that the vaccine would not be permitted to be allowed for use in the community if it hadn't been properly tested and if its safety, as well as its effectiveness, if its safety hadn't been established. So the vaccine has been through a whole range of safety checks. There have been 3 or 4 very important agencies such as the MHRA in the UK, the European Medicine Agency in Europe, the WHO itself, and then in the US, the authorities in the US have checked the safety profile of this vaccination. So I'm very confident that this vaccine is as safe as any for use in our communities.
What side effects could people experience after getting the vaccine?
So a lot of people I know have experienced no side effects at all. Some people have experienced very, very mild side effects. So that might be, for example, the typical sort of sore arm where the vaccine has been given that you get with the influenza virus or any other vaccination program that we have. Beyond that, there are reports of maybe feeling a little bit flu-like for a day or two, something like an achiness and feeling tired. But there have been very few, if any, reports of anything more significant than that for most people.
When will immunity to COVID-19 develop in a person after they get a vaccine?
Yep, so the vaccine program is such that you will probably start developing immunity after 2-3 weeks of your first dose. And that gives you some level of protection, but the second dose then boosts that immunity. And the second dose is very important to maximize the immunity. And as you know, in the UK, we're giving the second dose between 4 and 12 weeks of the first dose. And that's recommended, that's recognized as an appropriate way of maximizing immunity in people. So it's the second dose that's really important. And after the second dose, you probably have to wait a week or two before you can feel fully immunized. But remember that immunity doesn't mean that you do not pass the virus on to somebody else. So it's very important that you still continue to take the normal restrictions and measures, such as wearing a mask, washing your hands regularly, maintaining the sort of distance that you and I continue to do, despite both of us having been vaccinated. Yeah.
There have been some stories going around that the virus being in the vaccine and that you can get COVID-19 from the vaccine. Can you speak about this?
Sure. Yeah, I can absolutely guarantee that there isn't any active virus in the vaccines that are being used. And in fact, I've heard other rumors and myths being circulated that they may be material for embryos or other human material, or in fact even microchips in the vaccine. That's absolutely not the case. I mean, if that was the case, I wouldn't have made sure that my mum got the vaccine, that I got the vaccine, that my wife got the vaccine. And if I had any concerns like a microchip or anything like that, there's no way I would be getting the vaccine. And you know, on a more serious note, they wouldn't have passed any authority check around safety.
There have been some worries that the vaccine can cause infertility. Can you speak about this?
Yeah, there's no evidence that the vaccines, any of them, cause infertility or problems with reproductive health at all.
And there is a concern that because the vaccine has been made it so quickly, it doesn't seem like it can be trusted.
I think that's a really good question, and I was thinking the same thing. How can they turn a vaccine around so quickly and make sure that it's safe? When normally it takes years to produce a vaccine and prove its safety. And I think that people have to understand that the reason why this was possible was because a huge number of doctors and scientists and public health experts got together and diverted their attention away from all the other things they were doing into this. Yeah? So they put down all their other work and they focused on this. Whereas normally you would probably have a few teams working on this. Now drug industries, labs all over the world became involved. As well as that, we had many volunteers who wanted to take part in the clinical trials that were necessary to test the vaccine and ensure its effectiveness, ensure its safety. So I think we've all got to be really grateful for the thousands of people who volunteered very early on. And then the third reason is our safety ensuring authorities, the MHRA, I described the EMA in Europe, all of those worked at a much faster process not by shortening their process, but they got the data earlier.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting till the end of everything and then looking at a vast amount of data, they kept getting the data as the trials were being done, and that really helped them speed up their processes. So that's why it's being produced so quickly, and it's not being produced by shortening any safety checks at all. It's been done very thoroughly and very safely, but it's because of our attention to it, we've been able to do it in 1 year.
And what would you say generally to people that are scared getting the vaccine?
I totally understand. I think all of us have to think about what is being put into our bodies. And so we have to have an informed view about taking the vaccine, and that is your right as a citizen. But I think also people have to weigh the risks of the coronavirus, which is very, very serious, as we've seen. Against protecting ourselves and protecting our families, communities and society at large. The vaccination program is the key element of us being able to get our lives back to normal. The final things I want to say is that, I understand that there are a lot of what I would call unsubstantiated rumours and fears around the virus. But actually, I'm confident as a doctor that the safety profile of the vaccine has been really well considered, and I'm so confident that not only have I taken it myself, but I was absolutely keen that my mum, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, everybody that I knew who was needing to get the vaccine was vaccinated. So, I'm really, really keen that everybody in Glasgow, I live in the south side of Glasgow, I see the community and I would want them to be protected.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for taking part of this interview. We really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
No problem.